when I was just here and now, I saw what I had to do, or in this case, not do, and I didn't do it. In the same sense, if you are, when you clear your mind of the self, or your egotistical desires, or your ego basically, you start looking around and you see that there are more people than yourself. So if you're like, oh, my car, oh, my landlord is being such a beach, my grass needs to be mowed. Oh, the gas prices are so high. Oh, me. My desires, my wants. If you take a breath and you go to what merely is, go to the rational ought and say, all right, what is? Well, the fact of the matter is I'm pretty well off. I've got all my needs taken care of. What else is? Well, you look at the news, what is? There's cholera in Zimbabwe. People are running for their lives in Sri Lanka, or were. There's a malaria problem going on in South America. Which, you breathe, you look at what's going on in the world, and you say, this is what is. And if you are truly without self and without, all the mental crap, and you are truly here and now, be here now, you see immediately, this is what I can do. There's a malaria problem in South America. I can pay $20 to buy a mosquito net kit for some family. All right, you buy it. Or for me, the Armenian genocide, I've done a lot of research on the Armenian genocide, and I said, there's a problem here. Turkey denies the Armenian genocide. That could lead to another genocide. The case is that this is what merely is. Turkey denies the genocide. All right, what can I do about it? I can read a lot on it, which I did. Great. What can I do now? Oh, I can make YouTube videos on it and raise awareness about it and educate others about it and talk about it. And I do that. See, these are moral choices. My rational ought, which is to just be here now and just say, okay, this is what is, leads to me saying, this is what I can do. I can pay $20 for that, no problem. Or I can talk about it, or I can read the news. These are all moral choices that go beyond my petty desires, my petty selfish desires, my room being messy. Who gives a shit about that? I have all my needs taken care of. Yeah. And psychologically healthy. I have done all the processes on my mind, and I know exactly what to do. Like I said, I just breathe. Oh, yeah. No, my mom loves me. Clearly. I look at the evidence. I look at what is. My mom divorced my dad because of us. My dad had a job. Couldn't stay with us. She chose to do that. That is evidence for her love for me and my sister. That sort of thing. Yeah. You look at what is and you see. This is what you ought to do. Or, in some cases, ought not to do. Ought not call my mom and tell her that she's a worthless bitch that I hate forever, which isn't true. I really love my mom. Looking at what is, being rationally, being here and now, leads to moral oughts. Okay, I totally spend a lot of time on that. You go on to say, what you have as an atheist is a state of what merely is the case, not what ought to be the case. You have only rational ought, not a moral ought. And I've just said, no, you do have moral oughts, and they come from being here now. If you admit that there are oughts in both ethics and rationality, then atheism is contradicted, because atheism is only about what is, or basically atheistic rational oughts. And that's clearly wrong, because as I said before, being here now entails that you are above the self, that you have transcended all this mental crap in your mind, and that leads you to looking around saying that there are more people than me. Oh, I can do this to help you, no problem. And if you are truly above yourself, then you will do that. You do have moral oughts, and they come from being here now. They come from just seeing what you got to do. That's it. And that's all you need. You don't need a God for that. You don't need God for moral oughts. All you need to do is just look around you. Stop thinking about God. Stop thinking, period. And just be here now. See what you got to do. Oh, that. No problem. Moving on. Where would an ought come from? If you were an atheist, or you could say Zen Buddhist, which is essentially atheist, where would an ought come from? It comes from being here now. Where would the moral ought come from? Be here now. That's it. A case of what merely is cannot lead to what ought to be the case. I've just shown that you can have a moral ought from a rational ought. If there are moral oughts, then the universe has to start with a primary ought for any of this to make sense. There is intentionality, and a good candidate for this is God. I already did that earlier in this video. If you have merely is, it cannot produce an ought. I just said that. If you have a rational ought, it cannot produce a moral ought. I just said that it can, because the moral ought is entirely different from the rational ought. No, it isn't. In fact, they are one and the same with Zen Buddhism. When you say you are morally obligated to be here now, and when you are here and now, truly being here now, then you are also being in a state of complete rationality. You say, this is what is. My PIN number on my debit card is messed up. That's it. You know. Both of them are the same in Zen Buddhism, which is essentially atheistic. You could say Zen Buddhism may very well be the ideal for atheism, just as a passing thought. Nothing to do with this argument at all. It could be that Zen Buddhism is, the ideal for the atheist. Yeah, in my opinion. Concept of quality for atheists is measured by statistics, and by this you're talking about the rational atheistic ought in regards to the existence of God argument. They only focus on statistics. Which is the rational ought. This carries no normative oughtness, or basically no moral oughtness. And I just said, actually, yeah, it can. And with science, actually, statistics do more often lead to moral oughts. So one guy invented a black box that turns any water, be it standing water, lake water, pond water, or sea water, into pure distilled water. And what was that? Well, he cleared his mind, number one, of his own selfish desires, or enough to do this project, and said, all right, look around, there are more people than myself. There are water shortages in the world. People are getting thirsty, especially in Zimbabwe. And, I've got all this data in front of me. I've got all these parts. Hey, I can invent something that can turn any water into drinking water. And that would solve their problem. And, in fact, he went on the Colbert Report and described it. And, he's going to get someone to mass produce it. I think he already said he already had somebody to mass produce it, make it affordable to third world countries, and it's going to get shipped all over the world. Clearly, the statistics led to a moral ought, the rational ought, which is, well, look around me. This is the data that I've got, and these are the people out there. We have problems. We have data. What's the solution?